Okay, story so far. We are starting the fourth age, or fourth era, whatever, in this Europa Universalis PoP series. And I like to give a little quick overview of what we've seen. So, broadly speaking, this is a game designed to kind of flow with the history and generate the history, but not to be a slave to it. Overall, the European powers haven't done as much as they should have been able to, in part because I manipulated cubes incorrectly, and I'm learning more and more about that. So when we take a look at where they've expanded in the rest of the world, we can see some stuff up in North America, a little bit in South America, some exploration on Africa. The Portuguese made it as far as Timor, but they didn't settle anything in between. They're allowed to kind of jump start because they're not a real player. We've gone through an era early on in the game. The Turks expanded quite heavily. Spain looked like it was doing quite well. And Poland, Austria were kind of struggling. France managed to retake their territory from England. And England was kind of falling behind. Since then, things have moved. Turkey has continued slow expansion. They grew by leaps and bounds early on, and this is absolutely historical. They are probably close to about, what time-wise their historical peak came, and we'll see if they can do any better. But that's definitely reflected in the victory points for the game. Spain suffered some serious reverses with religious problems, with not being able to assimilate Aragon, although they did manage to conquer Morocco. They have maintained control through the War of Spanish Succession, which sort of didn't happen the same way the 30 Years' War didn't happen. These are not like big event. So these are event sets of cards or something. But if they don't trigger exactly right, and if the players don't react correctly to them, you don't get anything that looks like them, right? But they've made it through the Dutch Revolt. They made it through the War of Spanish Succession, holding on to Flanders and a little bit in the Netherlands proper as well. We still have a mighty Danish empire formed there, because unless you're playing a Danish-Swedish combined player, there's nothing in the game system that makes them kind of do what they're supposed to do. Again, definitely need to get a player in there, just like we have to get a player in for Russia. Poland was off to a slow start, but they actually did fairly well. They created themselves a large vassal state out of Lithuania, but they didn't really fully incorporate it. So you don't have like a singular Poland there. Which is a little weird, but they've expanded as far west as Bohemia and also into Pomerania. Sweden in the game, I'm sure, helped with that. Austria, again, was off to a slow start, but they've created kind of a stable realm. They've kept the empire in reasonably solid shape. They haven't done anything amazing, but I feel like they're doing kind of historically, which means you can see Poland, who's a little behind history, or maybe even, but in different ways. Of course, no threat from Russia there. And Austria, who's maintained kind of a historical, and Turkey, who's maintained kind of their historical situation. These guys are leading the game. The people who are kind of falling behind, well, Spain has actually gained a lot of points. War of Spanish Succession gave them a lot of location-based points. Just sort of this random boost because, hey, it's the Spanish Succession, so a lot of it was in territory that they had a reason to be in already, and we're kind of parked there. France and England have fallen behind. In the case of Spain, France, and England, the bottom half of the players, the lack of colonization efforts has definitely played into it. Bunches and bunches of unrest have played into it. Hold on. I don't know if this unrest and religious problems in France, for example, exceeded what they actually had. Because I don't understand the representation in the game completely. But France had serious issues with Protestantism. It looks like I've got serious issues with my battery charger. God damn it. Okay, I gotta fix it. So yeah, France had serious issues with their religious issues, and it ended up going Protestant. However, you can see there's some counter-reformed movement moving against them. The first of the Protestant nations was, fuck me, thank you, was England, which switched over under Henry VIII. Now, if you look at the countries that are actually real in the game, yeah, that makes sense. They would be the first. But there was no Protestantism, you know, in any sort of official full sense anywhere on the continent. There were diverse faith markers which can indicate that there's a Protestant center in there, but the whole region wasn't generally Protestant. The leadership wasn't, etc. It was just, it's a mixed thing. That's what that represents. The English switched over. They didn't suffer much for doing so, but they suffered pretty badly from the Revolution, the Civil War, and also even prior to that from things like the War of the Roses and such not. So they had their own problems going forward, ended up losing all their French territory, which is to be expected, to be honest. France is going to be fucked if they can't get that back. And the decks are built, you know, with the War of the Roses, the decks are built so that England's going to lose that shit. Spain also had serious religious problems. They had gotten as far down into southern Morocco, for example, but the unrest that they were getting over here throughout the Aragonese, which is only a vassal state and just 3 islands basically at this point, inheritance, because the rest of it has like separated, and the Naples portion of it was conquered by Turkey, which, wow. They were able to get into becoming counter-reform. In fact, every Catholic state in the game, Spain that remains, Austria, and Poland has gone counter-reform. Poland maybe didn't have to, and gee, thanks, you little fucking piece of shit. Getting pretty damn pissed at it. Okay. Poland was arguably the person, and there it goes again. Just because recently I had a battery failure where I pulled one of my batteries, put it in, and it hadn't charged because of that stupid fucking thing. Okay, so Poland might have arguably a reason not to go counter-reform. It's basically a free thing once it's available, right? But what it allows you to do is create counter-reform counters. Poland wanted to do it so that they could try to fight the Protestantism that's creeping into their northeastern border there. They can't use it against Orthodoxy, but that's okay. The reason that they might not care that much and might want to remain straight up Catholic rather than counter-reform, first of all, they have no compelling like victory point reason. Both Austria and Spain had a victory point reason to go counter-reform. But Protestantism had a free reign because the Council of Trent never happened, so counter-reformation didn't get started when it should have, and Protestantism just got such a big hold on things, and the French turning Protestant strengthened that position. Basically, this is one of the few ways to fight it off. But again, Poland is not where the Protestants tend to move towards. The way the automatic factors work, Protestantism automatically kind of tends to spread into the richer, more central and western areas of the continent. So there are reasons in that direction, but things like Bohemia owning that puts them in a really risky position. And Bohemia is indeed Protestant. They have Protestant areas to the north of them. Yeah, here's a beautiful one. The papacy is Protestant. Now, I'm not saying the Pope is Protestant and the Church, but the Papal States region, including the papacy itself, has to take Protestant concerns into mind. And yeah, Now, what you could say is that that's created some sort of weird Reformed church in Rome. I don't know. I couldn't find anything that prevents that. Who else? Well, we've left Turkey out except for that brief initial situation, and I don't know that there's much more we need to say. We're beginning to see hints of revolutionary ideology, which sort of is an overlay on religion. It basically becomes more important than religious concerns in an area where it exists. A nation can take it as their official state religion as such, not the Holy Roman Empire. It's not a nation, man. It really isn't. It's an empire. That's the whole thing, right? You have, when people say things like, and I don't remember who it was who made the great quote, the Holy Roman Empire is neither Holy Roman nor an empire. Well, it sure wasn't a nation. It wasn't a kingdom. It was a conglomeration of semi-autonomous states with an overlord, an emperor, this concept, right? Now, it wasn't an empire like Rome was an empire, okay, but given the amount of freedom that governors had in the Roman Empire, you could almost argue that the model kind of fits better than people lead you to think it doesn't, right? But yeah, it was definitely more federated, more disjointed than Rome, more feudal, and it held that feudal nature for longer than most of the things that became nations. It was an interesting thing. That's all I have to say. Anyway. The non-player realms do not meet the expectations that you have of them in any sense. Now, we're down to 2 now. 3. The Portuguese, who have barely scratched the rest of the world. The things that come up just don't allow it. There really needs to be something else to drive them if they're not a player. If there's not a player set to represent them. They could be a bot, and then presumably they would work just fine. The Dutch, whose rest of the world activity is absolutely nothing, and who have been kind of frozen here doing nothing. And finally the Danes, who have been massively successful, although they didn't involve themselves in the 30 Years' War, because there really wasn't one. It was a war between Austria and Saxony, and that's about it. But the Danes have managed to hold on to the Scandinavian Union, or whatever it is called, and they've actually explored in the Caribbean. Will be interesting to see what's coming up. Got some things that trigger, for both English and Turkish cards. We've got the 7 Years' War brewing, which, if we know anything about what these power play cards are like and the events that play into them, won't feel anything like the 7 Years' War. It won't be a major war between, most of the big European powers. It'll probably just be some little pizzle where somebody takes an opportunistic advantage and nobody gives a shit. And for the most part, what's happening is people just bank the points that they're in and will try to improve where their points are. I may be doing something wrong. I don't think it's a rules mistake that I've got here. What I think it might be is that there are some strategic concerns that I'm just not taking into play, that I'm playing as I would with the original Europa Universalis over there, which is that if the events don't force me into a war or make me really want to go to war, I'm not going to particularly engineer that war. Right? I'm not trying to recreate history by creating the wars that happened as players. As players, I'm trying to be played by the game and do it as well as I can. And you know, my own thinking is, from what I've seen and from what I understand of most games, going to war is a bad thing. You don't want to do it. If you can pad your points in a big multiplayer game and not get yourself involved in multiplayer in conflicts with other players, you will come out better. There are exceptions to that in a lot of games. But those exceptions are built into the rules, and I'm not seeing anything here that's really forcing that. Because, you know, the idea is you will waste resources in war. Resources are very scarce in this game, especially cubes. But cards also, money is sometimes an objective. Amount of actions you get based on the turn track. These things are all scarce, and if you expend them on trying to take something that somebody else is defending, well, you will probably get less out of it than if you expend them on trying to take something from someone like poor little Saxony during your 30 Years' War, you know? So yeah, I feel like there's something really missing to drive that. Am I getting a world that looks like the world of the era? Not really. What's missing? So I'm getting a lot of stuff that's different. That's obvious. But is it believable, etc.? Well, the problem's definitely coming from my lack of cube management and maybe the game itself making them too heavy a restriction, too heavy a limitation, have really prevented me from expanding very much in the new world. The wars are not happening the way they should. You know, at one point somebody commented, and I feel like they were at the same point with the game as I am, but other people have had it for longer, so maybe they had played more of it. At this point, I can say they're just not happening. They're just not happening at the rate that you would expect. They don't happen at the rate they did historically in the original EU, but at least the big ones cause some kind of stink around them. And the ones that are centered around a non-player, or, you know, a minor power, a minor country, I don't know what they're even called there. Here they're called non-player realms. So Poland is not played by a player in the original EU. And Austria is not played by a player. And these two end up throwing their weight around and really fucking with the actual players in the game. All right, that's enough for that. Sounds like my raid has stopped. I hope I've made it through successfully whatever the hell was going on. It's climbing up a doom tower. Some light stuff over here on the planning segment. The French kept, I believe, the same cards. They've bought themselves a couple more cards. I don't know how I'm going to keep up, you know, with so few cubes. One of them is for an advisor for the military. But yeah, with this crappy leader, things are not good. And I can't imagine even if there is a French leader, we're looking at, you know, what, like Louis the 16th, 15th? These are not great choices here. Obviously, 16th is particularly bad. But honestly, the 15th isn't that, you know, notable either. But France just doesn't have any kind of engine to make it work. And yeah, for the Spanish, I grabbed the Italian ambitions. This is iffy. Maybe I should have taken Form Spain. What I want to do is I want to get Sicily and Corsica, or all of Naples. And I'm not sure which way I want to go. Basically, I might join in a big anti-Turkish alliance. We might see Austria, Poland, Spain all going against Turkey, try to bring them down to their level. And Spain has a lot to gain from this. But another option is to go for forming Spain. But if I fight, and this isn't necessarily the best thing because this is a marriage here, which perhaps I should have discarded, right? If I fight against Aragon, then I won't have an opportunity to fight the Turks, right? But that would get me all except the Genoese side of things. If I try to do it through diplomacy, I'm probably not able to get both of them at once. But I might be able to do like try to throw the diplomacy towards Aragon and the war against Genoa. I don't have a claim on Genoa though. I mean, that's easy enough to manage. And I also don't have the cards to be able to do the subjugation that I would need for anything. So none of it's really working out for the Spaniards there. England's 2 goals. I took 4 Great Britain, but there's no way I can do this. I drew for cards to help me do it, but the subjugations are all in people's hands now, unfortunately. Because I need to be able to get Scotland. And I could go to war with Scotland again, but I have an alliance with them. I can't break that, but I might get pulled into a different alliance. I have a claim. I could go to war. Maybe it could happen. I also took colonial ambitions, which is much more likely. I'm very close to that. I have 2 provinces already. I've explored one, and I believe I'm able to do it in Africa. Yeah, and then I can continue pushing on. I've got stuff in India, obviously, that I want to do. But yeah, my cards were not very helpful. I don't have a lot of money to hold them. I held a naval transit. You know, I held the spy network, but that's for the advisor. I'm beginning to think that even with short money, it's worth trying to get good advisors for the future and hold on to them. And this is mainly I don't have to pay $2 for every card that's in my hand. Just $2 for every card I'm drawing. Of course, at the end of last turn, I forgot to cope with this, restore religious unity. I'm going to allow it to be done now before I start figuring out these cards. State religion is counter-reform, check. There are 4 more Catholic electoral areas. Maybe not. Maybe not. No, there are not yet. Never mind. Okay. So I definitely want to keep that because I can convert that if I do things right. Iron Crown of Italy may not be a good choice, though. Sorry, I'm getting confused. I have to run up and down for the raid shit. It feels very limited, not by cubes. They have a shitload of those. Oh, almost too many. But by money. I spent to keep a couple of cards. I drew another Man of the Church. Those are too valuable right now for me. I can turn places counter-reform with them. I can play around with the Curia if I need to. And I kept a general, a better one than I have in my king. Although those are orange. No, they're white. Okay. Who I may play. Of course, that costs a military thing. I picked Holy League. I'm going to take another crack at this because Spain's making their sounds. Okay, let's do it, man. Let's do it. And Poland is probably in on this too. The idea of an expansion against the Turks, major wars, multiple players going against them. It's not the 7 Years' War that's here, but it's what this tells us to do, and you got to balance your victory points out where you got them and whatnot. I'm also in pretty good shape for the 7 Years' War, assuming nobody fucks with me, right? And, Poland's in pretty good shape, assuming nobody fucks with them. Nobody's going to fuck with them. So they're probably amiable to this as well. Talk and their card draws convinces the Poles, yep. Revenge for Varna, Wallachia and Bulgaria. I got claim. I can go in. Black Sea ports. That'll come with it. For my cards, what do I have in here? Okay, that's great. I held everything. Military reforms or a good general. I have a better general in my king, but he's been wounded already or is sick. So, yeah, maybe. Plus, that could back up as a king if bad things happen. The naval maneuvers, this is a good advisor. This was a hard one to choose to keep, but I had tons of money, and I got a couple of ships on the Black Sea. You know, naval battles could end up being a part of this. What the hell? Wish I had left my ships at sea instead of pulling them in to save an extra buck. And the new alliance, this is a big deal. I didn't realize how important it is. First of all, it cost me less, only 3. And there's an alliance down here that the Turks have with, I guess it's Wallachia. Yeah, I think so. I can swing that alliance into my side and bring it into the war. Those will be extra troops I have. That'll be great. So lots of good will come of that, as far as I can tell. That brings it to the Turks. Now, in a lot of games, I would be rolling a die here. Is Turkey aware of all this? In this game, you are specifically not allowed to negotiate, except within player-to-player negotiations, if someone spends a cube to make it hidden. Nobody's taking a player-to-player negotiations at this point. Turkey's hearing all this table talk. They fucking know. And they too will prepare for war. By the way, I really like that mechanism. All diplomacy is at the table, all table talk's allowed, obviously, if that's the case, right? And you would need to be able to have table talk in a game like this. You need to be able to threaten somebody if they're about to do something you don't want them to do and stuff like that. Or try to, you know, get a series of things. But I can spend one of my dip cubes to go talk to you secretly. Now, that doesn't hide much, right? Like, you know they're up to something. But they could be putting code words into that negotiation, that private negotiation. You know, so like, well, if I say pumpkin, you know, in a joke or whatever, then we're going to attack. And if I don't say it, you know, if instead I say orange, well, no, orange would be dangerous because it's pretty common. If I say Oliphant instead, you know, then we're not going to attack. And, you know, just that kind of agreement or whatever to have, sort of like using safe words, man. Nothing I've ever done. So yeah, so this is what Turkey has left. They have a couple. Definitely not doing that. These look not bad. Possibly control the Black Sea would be useful, but I'm going to keep the Barbary Coast one. So I don't think I'm going to control the Black Sea. It's 9 or more ports. How many do I have? Not many. I have 2. You know, even if I win this, I'll still have a lot of work to do to get the Black Sea under my control. So those are almost certainly what I'm going to do. Yeah. Got to pick my cards, though. I got a whole shitload in hand. What I don't have is a general. He's not very good as one, so I may draw for more generals. I mean, I think I can use him as a general with 2 artillery. He makes a draw. They ended up getting 2 military cards. One's a good general. Great, we'll keep that, and I paid for him already. Military traditions. This is really useful. Yeah, we'll keep that. I think I'm going overboard here because I don't have many cubes. I'm not going to be able to prosecute very well. And an exceptional year, yeah, those are good. Cure some of my unrest and stuff. So I've got everything. I got like 8 cards in hand now. About as many as you'll ever see. All right. And we are ready to start the rounds. I don't know if I'm going to do it coming up here again. Yep. On to the action phase. We're all set there. France opens things up. I got to play some raid, but yeah. I think we're finally going to see. So this, the Turkey, Austria, Poland war, this kind of thing should have been happening earlier. Turkey's kind of gotten away. Well, Turkey hasn't expanded as much as they did. They haven't tried to push into Vienna or anything like that, which is what brought Poland in a couple of times. And you know, these guys made kind of noises of it before, but they didn't do it for real, and now it's finally happening. Now finally Spain, and Spain too, Spain was involved too in terms of, like, you know, trying to fight against the threat in the Mediterranean. And, you know, that's where Lepanto came from. It's all about the same era. And it's that sort of here I stand period where that's all happening. Well, it happens again later, but yeah, this should be interesting. So I'm expecting a major war to erupt over here. Am I expecting anything to come of the 7 Years' War? Not really. Yeah, not unless somebody like France or something sees Austria, you know, tied up in a war, say. It's like, huh. But France doesn't have a lot of cubes, at least for this turn. We don't know. We don't know. It might not be triggered this turn. But France doesn't have a lot of cubes, and they do have a couple of cities in revolt. That's not good. Spain is actually kind of worried about that, but they have plenty of cubes, so they might be able to deal with the things they're trying to do, which includes exploration and everything. England's goal is going to be to, I think, mainly to do exploration and everything, and try to get more of the world. I think you could make an argument that these power plays, in a sense, how diverse the regions are and how many different people could have vested interests, are part of why we're not seeing the wars. If the power plays weren't there, I don't think we'd see them either. But the way the power plays are, it's like, you know, Poland, I got lots. Austria, I got lots. You know, who are the people on the out in this? Spain, England, France, Turkey. None of them are really invested, but they have their possibilities. Portugal's a possibility. Nobody's, you know, England's happy with what they have there, right? England feels that maybe they can do something here, although without a subjugation, it's just not going to happen. You know, I mean, I can go to war, but I don't have a claim, and I have an alliance there, and I'd lose a bunch of cubes. I could go to war down here, but that's kind of out of reach. If we look at some of the prior ones, we had the same kind of thing, you know. I mean, and there's some question of whether the power play makes sense, right? Spanish inheritance, the War of Spanish Succession. Okay, sure, we're still married to Aragon, but Naples, this vague claim that I have from, you know, hundreds of years ago, right, that Turkey took away from the rulers of Aragon, who I am not, but I'm related to, and there's no disputed succession or anything. There's no reason for me to go in there. There's no reason that Spain's succession is being disputed. There was really nothing to trigger the war. And I don't know. That's one of my big gripes, is there was nothing that led me to feel that the war went beyond, hey, you know, what things am I, which of these markers am I sitting on, and will I get points from, and, you know, how much can I improve those points myself without doing anything drastic? And then the going to war should really have to be triggered by something in the event deck, and I don't feel like that was there. Now, maybe there was a disputed succession in that last deck. I can peek. Hold on. It was pick an independent realm, but it's an independent realm. It's not a player. Yeah, this wouldn't have affected things. And let me see if there was anything else. I mean, this could have done it. I really don't think that there was anything. There certainly wasn't anything that caused it to happen. This is the closest there was, which creates royal marriages. And the disputed succession doesn't it works on an independent realm. It doesn't work on a player realm. I think. I don't know. Is that a defined term? Because you could read it two ways, right? Independent could be, you know, not a vassal. That could be all its meaning. Let's look. Inflation. Doesn't look like it's there. And if it's not there, I don't think it'll be in here where the game terms are. A realm. Yeah. So I get the feeling this may be I read it wrong. That to me, independent realm, I just thought, well, that's not going to be a player, and it's not going to be one of their vassals. But it might just be not a vassal. Can you have a marriage with a vassal? Yes. So yeah, I don't know. It's a term that's not defined in the rules, and if it's, you know, but whatever, it's pick one. Someone would have to want the War of Spanish Succession to happen. And I gotta tell you, if you think about the history, everyone wanted no war there, basically. Everyone. Like, there was no desire for that war to happen. Everyone wanted a peaceful solution that would come about. And the problem was there was no peaceful solution. There were two people who had semi-legit, well, that had claims to the throne. And that's where the problem lay. One of them was controlled by the Habsburgs, one of them by the French. There was no independent person to go up. The independent person died too early because there was a choice that everyone agreed on. He just died before Charles did. And this, well, I don't know. Certainly, you know, it makes sense that you could make hay out of the whole thing and try to cause a war. That's like the, you know, forming claims and whatever. You have a reason, you can push that reason, or you can let it drop, and neither one really matters. But whoever draws the card gets to do what they want. And I don't remember who did it. Let's look at that card. I have the feeling it had something to do with Austria and Poland. Pick an independent realm with +1 and flip these to their thingy. Take a free declare war action targeting only that realm or support. Yeah, somebody did this. Maybe Poland did it or something. Somebody grabbed it to go, you know, conquer some territory, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. You know, much easier than using that card to generate a more general war, like using the Spanish Succession. It also might have come up before the Spanish Succession. It looks like it may have, in terms of when I look at the order of the cards. But that's hard to tell because it didn't have a ruler attached to it. Charles II had a ruler attached to it. So, you know, some cards stick around in the game state a little longer. Anyway. I certainly don't feel like these major events that are keyed to the power struggles are actually all that linked to the power struggle. And so you kind of have to generate your own events or use the events that are present to cause the wars. And I think that's sort of a broad rule across the game. But would you want to, right? Like I said, historically nobody wanted the War of Spanish Succession. You know, the Bourbons were happy with the Habsburg heir that was chosen. They were not happy with, I believe it was the heir to the Habsburg Empire also becoming another Charles V. They could not deal with that. And so they once again pushed forward their own claim, which was for, you know, and I mean their claim, what they were trying to push was someone who could not inherit, you know, who was kept dynastically separate from the French Bourbon line. That was sort of the agreement. Same kind of thing that happened between Ferdinand or with Ferdinand and Philip. But in reality, as soon as the Bourbons took Spain, all the Low Countries fortresses that were Spanish were just like immediately available to the French for use. That arises in my mind whenever I'm thinking about this. You know, I go on my rant and everything, and I'm like, well, it didn't work out the way that I think it should have. But is that just a failure of imagination from my point of view? Would somebody have done better by not playing little opportunistic games and grabbing something they could easily grab? Who would have had the opportunity? Well, the honest truth is, I don't think those marriages were in place at the time that it happened. They may have showed up in the same deck. Because that was a -2 card. So if I did things right and programmed it right, it should be in the same deck, but it might not have happened. It might have happened before the Charles card did. I don't know, was he a 1? He should be a 1. Yeah, fuck, hold on. He's a -2, which means that, you know, it's random whether or not someone could have even triggered that. So there were 2 issues in play. One is, me reading the rules, I just thought Independent Realm. I wouldn't have even thought about anything else. Like, Independent Realm sounds to me not a player. But since the term's not defined, I would say, well, it may just mean anything but a vassal, and that kind of makes more sense to me now. But even given that, they didn't show up in the right order. I'm pretty sure of that at this point. And yet, put that aside, had they shown up in the right order, would it have been a reasonable goal? Would anybody in the game... Now, obviously, France could have played that card, gotten their arranged for the marriage. I'm not sure. God damn it. I'm so... Like, I think it's Spain has to offer the marriages. Now I've lost him. There we go. Castile, Spain must offer. Yeah. So, Spain would have to offer the possibility of a bad marriage, a marriage that would go very badly for them, you know. So they could make a marriage with France. They could agree to make a marriage with France, but they're the ones who have to make that offer. And what does Spain have to gain by making an offer of marriage to countries which could end up taking away things that were theirs, right? I mean, they were sitting on a fair amount of these points. That's why they jumped up so far. I can understand why someone else, like France, might have played that card and said, Spain, you must marry me. But to play that card and say, I think I'll pick the big, nasty, powerful country, this is the historical situation, right next to me, who has every reason to pursue this disputed succession if it comes up. Instead, Spain was able to offer it to 2 people who have absolutely no way to deal with it at all. Now, the disputed succession would have still allowed France to go into Spain. If I recall correctly, you flip that disputed succession over, it causes problems in Austria and Poland. Those would be the 2 rightful inheritors. But France could then go in, and they could do a number of things. They could take territory, which they might want, or they could conceivably, you know, force a king into place that they like. One thing that I'm thinking about for the, hey, if you can knock players out of the game, you know, as an option to the rules, something that would allow you to take a pick other than total annexation to vassalize something, because that is actually not too far from the reality of what early Bourbon Spain was. It was almost a vassal of France for a while. I don't know if that's valid, like it certainly, it was forced into something. Here I am babbling and babbling and babbling, but a game like this makes me think so much because I don't fully understand, what everything kind of actually represents. Now, obviously some better designer's notes would help a lot with that. There are basically none, but the game is so alien to my way of thinking that those designer's notes would probably have to be 2 or 3 times as big as the rules. Obviously that's not workable. So if I had done secured desired succession, loser's capital must occupy, ignore loser's active ally status. All occupied provinces must be returned to lawful owners if the loser's an NPR. All their other wars end on white peace. You remove all these from the loser's capital. The victor gets points. None of this matters. If the victor has a marriage in the loser's capital, they may flip it over and score points. If the loser is an NPR, they can add cubes there. No. What I'm thinking is securing the desired succession, at the very least, if you had a claim to the succession, you should be able to vassalize them. Trying to think what other succession crisis has happened where a major power that had a claim took things, and the problem is I think the only ones that kind of matter are over in the east. They're going to be things like the Vasa succession. It would take a much, much more complex game to really represent everything correctly. I am thinking about the Vasa situation, which would be, there would have to be some sort, you wouldn't have Poland operating like every other country, right? There would have to be something internal to Poland, kind of like the Martin Wallace game, where I don't remember much about it, I played it once, but I bring it up because it's one of the few games I know that deals with this. The succession to Poland or the succession to the empire, and the game that I've wanted to design for so long, which was handling the whole history of the Holy Roman Empire, or a big part of it, where succession within the empire becomes one of the key avenues. I'm not, it wouldn't end the game. You wouldn't be seeking to be made emperor. There's an emperor almost all the time. Not all the time, but almost all the time. Maybe more than one. No. Depends on how you read things. But the ability to be elected emperor or king in Poland is a very different sort of succession pattern than there would be in other countries. So, you would have, and here I'm thinking a character-based game, if you were the rightful heir to France, you would just become king of France, assuming no skullduggery was in play. Nobody was being murdered like you or something. And then whatever personal connections you have, because one of the things, and this is what belongs in, this is what is in the Crusaders Kings computer game to some extent. Whatever personal connections you have to other people will influence stuff, right? So if you have a personal connection to another ruler who's near you, that may be important towards negotiations and diplomacy. But if you're looking at an elected kingship, the person who's raised to the crown is heavily based on who who the electors feel should be, right? So that may involve personal commitments to those with the electors, as well as other diplomatic considerations that are in play. And that was the kind of game I was thinking of playing, was consider something like Kremlin, where different players have points in different, for control in different characters in the game. Well, that was kind of the model I was working with, where you had points. They weren't as hidden as in Kremlin. Kremlin's this weird little hidden bidding game, basically. But yeah, I really saw something where you could express how somebody felt about you, right, with a numerical result, in addition to stats for, you know, things like military, administrative, diplomatic capabilities, just like the whole EU Empires of the Middle Ages line has. And, you know, I'm kind of saying all this, I've been trickling this out all along because I have no intention of actually making it. And at this point, you know, I probably have no ability to play it. If it's going to be made, it would take too long. But I think there are some really cool ideas in that concept, a concept of a very character-heavy game, which relies on, okay, I have this relationship, they have these skills. Popes and Princes was sort of the framework for that all. Of course, it completely, like, there was no game there. You know, it was a set of notes that got published, essentially. All right, well, here it is, Monday, or Sunday, kind of an overcast day, recovered from dancing and whatnot. And as usual, probably should have gone shopping today, chose not to. There's been a couple of beautiful days, yesterday, up until yesterday. Today, a little less so. I think when I got up, I was just like, I'll wait for one of the prettier days. And I don't think there is one coming. But, you know, I made my choices. It's a pity. It would have been a good day to go. I like going shopping on Sundays better. You know, less traffic, less bother. But anyhow, here we are back at EU. And at the start of the fourth age, you know this already. I'm trying to keep myself into position, and I got to start trying to figure out. This is always hard after I've been away for a couple of days. By the way, over on the raid side, my addiction. I mentioned this in. I did a little book discussion video. Pretty boring. Nobody should watch those. I don't know. They get more views than my plays, so, you know, whatever. I mentioned there that I'm trying to break away from watching so much video while I play Raid and reading books instead, because I just enjoy it better. It's just so easy to just, while I'm on the computer sitting there playing the game, to have something playing in the background. But reading is just better for me, I think. I don't know. But yeah, I completed my my event there. Of course, they just keep cramming more events down your throat. And I don't know how to stop. So I don't know what the fuck people are doing. France looks like they have problems, so I'll probably try to resolve those. They don't look like they have a lot of cubes or anything. So I don't think they're going to be pushing too hard towards the 7 Years' War, towards their goals. They'll do what they can. Yeah, it looks like they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I'm looking at, hey, one military cube, I can build here and here some troops. I only need one here, but I need a little bit more there. I have no army, right? And then start those sieges. Okay, that might win me a battle, which will get me a cube back. So I'm still at 2. That gives me 2 for the sieges, but it's going to cost me 3 to get rid of all this unrest. So, you know, assuming no more shows up. So that 3 means I'll take 2 from here. That means no exploration. I can colonize. That's not a problem. I think the first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to burn one of these developments and turn Aquitaine into a Protestant area, because that's part of the problem. Spain, who may have major other goals, cleans up some unrest down in the Low Countries. I still have that. I've got a siege. If if I want to stop losing points to stuff. English have a big event. First of all, they get George II, if they want to pick this up. They get George II, who is not as good as William III. So I may not want to pick this. Whoever does pick it gets to choose either the Anson's expedition, which is England can disband a light ship to take 2 explore actions. You're still going to need light ships to do those explore actions. And place a claim on any distant area with an opponent's claim or town. That's pretty powerful. You know, a light ship's $4, but or $6. It's $4, yeah. But you're getting a lot of activity out of that. Avenge this insult. England gains a claim adjacent to the Caribbean and can use this to declare war immediately and gain a military, and the player who grabs this gains a military. That looked like the better one because it doesn't kind of cost you anything, and I could start a war with Spain. Or with Denmark, which is, or Portugal, but Portugal's my ally. But Denmark I actually have a claim on already, so I actually don't know how valuable that is. I kind of like the idea of the Anson's expedition better if I have to pick one. But I don't know that I want to pick that event. I'm not really gung-ho on that. Now, there's a Turkish event out there that people may want to play before Turkey gets a chance to play it. I know it's bad for Turkey if somebody else gets it. But that's not England's problem. Spain didn't think it was their problem. France didn't, obviously. It's really kind of, look, Austria, Poland, if you guys want to fuck with that, go for it. Especially since everybody's been making noise about a war with Turkey. Now, Spain has been making that noise too, but they're feeling a little less excited about it because dealing with my unrest is eating up my military cubes. We might join in though. The English are thinking about taking a trade action as their first action, actually. They have a lot they want to and can do, but money is a major limiting factor on them. So, play cube. I'm going to look to see if I have an admiral. I do. It's on naval traditions, which I've been convinced is too good a card to use, and this shouldn't be too bad. So I am going to send my fleet, the entirety of my fleet, out here. Can I drop something off on the way? No, don't think so. Got a little bit of a problem in that I don't have ships here, but I can move something there. So I'm going to put the light ships here. I'll leave that one there, I guess. And we're going to fight against those pirates. Do some anti-piracy here. Those heavy ships, I don't need to roll the dice. I will destroy the pirates no matter what. But they did 2 hits on me. I'll take them on my heavies. And I don't think I can send my fleet to port immediately, but I do clear the problem. I don't know. That one's not as dangerous to me, right? Like, yeah, it's in the English Channel, and there's probably a decent amount of stuff there, but I'm just not sure it's worth a cube to wipe out a single pirate. That lowers me 1 level. I can live with that, I guess. It's just such a pain. You know, there's no guarantees I'm getting trade from here. Again, this is the difference between the old EU. The old EU, when pirates showed up, you kind of had to deal with them because they would start reducing the merchants that were there and eventually knock them completely out. That's sort of what happened here, but the thing is, we don't know where I'm going to draw my next trade card for. The chance, so in the old EU, every turn, and there's, about a 3-to-1 ratio, those turns are 3 times, or these turns are 3 times as long, I'm guessing, as the old EU ones. You just got an income based on the merchants you had at sea. And if there were pirates there, they were reducing your income every turn. And so you had an absolute reason to go out and deal with those pirates that were out there. By the way, I have that naval tradition. I can use the letter of marque to move some pirates around. Moving 2 of them is 2 cubes instead of 1 for the attack. So that seemed like a bad idea. But anyway, the thing is, you're going to take you're not going to make as much money, and money is more important there in that game. You're not going to make as much money, absolutely, without any question. Here, you do a trade action, and you got no idea. Maybe it'll be this one, maybe it'll be that one, maybe it'll be nothing. You're not likely to do a lot of trade actions. England is the only person who's terribly interested in it. The rest of the players are kind of like, I got to use my dip cubes for something, it's kind of a crazy situation. It just feels like no one is terribly interested in combating piracy. How realistic is that? How believable? I don't know. Certainly the English were the ones most interested in it. Wow, though, we do have a lot of pirates lying around. Not just these. There. I don't think I caught that one. Just all over the place. I bought this hoodie thing that I'm wearing online, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And I barely ever wear it. And one of the reasons, it's a little, I don't know, it's like the collar is a little too rigid. I want things to be kind of sloppier when I'm comfy around the house, and the material is kind of heavy feeling. Everything just kind of feels constraining in it. It fits fine. It's not like it's too tight or anything, but there's like this weight to it and everything. And wearing it and trying to concentrate and play the game and everything, it's making me feel a little sick to my stomach. The coffee may not be helping either. But I just feel more constrained and more warm than I should be, right? And I can get away with wearing heavier things and not feeling this lousy. Trio fires off a man of the church to solve their Saxon problem. I want to get these things out of the way before I start any war. Of course, then you don't have as many cubes, and the war starts looking less and less attractive. Before the war starts, Poland has a new alliance they need to play, but they're the last person in this tulip period's up here. First of all, it gets a much lousier military ruler in charge in Turkey. That's not that big a deal. But I would get the choice to pick this, allowing Turkey to spend 4 of their cubes, they don't have all that many, to research a military idea, or to get 2 military and remove a bunch of unrest. They don't have that much unrest. Well, they have enough. Yeah, they have enough that it would be a worthwhile choice. So they may want to do that. Another option is to adopt Western ideals for them, where they'd get a bunch of unrest, they'd lose some military cubes, but they'd gain some other stuff, and I would get a cube. I have room for that extra cube, barely. How much diplomacy am I going to do is really the question. How much can I use that? I have 1 card, this new alliance, which I'd want to use. Nothing else really is jumping out and saying, hey, you need to use the diplomacy here. And I have a good diplomat in charge. Of course, he may die. We have no deaths programmed. I'm really torn, because picking that event could be very valuable. On the other hand, there's a chance, a decent chance, that there's an event that I really care about. I'm gonna roll a die. On odds, I'm gonna afflict the Turks with a weakening spell. Oh, I can use diplomacy to further weaken them. Yeah, I just want to do it. I just want to do it. Austria probably should have. Poland's kind of upset about that, but I am going to play this and trigger the second one, adopt Western ideals. Add unrest to 4 Ottoman things. This is my choice where to put the unrest. I want to put it places that are not near me. Having unrest near me doesn't particularly help. So I'll put one there. Don't particularly want to put it where there are troops already. That'll be painful. They would lose this completely if it goes. That's 2. Islands are obnoxious. 3. 4. Okay. It's 4 of them. Ottomans lose 2 military cubes, but gain either 4 admin or the scientific revolution. I don't really want the scientific revolution. I already have it. So admin cubes it is. I actually get a net gain in cubes, but I've been weakened militarily in a big way. And the Poles gain a diplomatic cube. 3, 6, 9, 10, yep. And now I have an option. Slightly worse leader. Do I have generals? I do. I have decent generals. I'm not sick. I don't think I'm taking them. And I moved the balls. New card is the Pragmatic Sanction. Foreign recognition. Now, this is the Maria Theresa. Wow. Boy, that's happening kind of early. Foreign recognition. Austria may pay 2 peace, 2 diplomacy, to gain an alliance with 2 NPRs. That's pretty nice. Adjacent to their realm and place 2 cubes in their areas, you gain an admin. Domestic recognition. Austria may remove 2 unrest from their towns and place 2 cubes in the area where they have a vassal. Flip all royal marriage tokens on Vienna to their disputed side. Well, Austria no longer has any marriages because we just came into the end of an era, right? Royal marriages got destroyed. It's generally a good idea to get rid of royal marriages between major powers if you're one of those major powers. What about that 332 Maria Theresa versus a much, well, Leopold's not bad. You know. And by the way, I think that's what I have up here. Is it? No, this is the Dutch War. Somewhere. Oh, I know what it is. I was going to say, I know I have something about this. There it is. Clash of Monarchs revisiting you know, system moved over to handle the Austrian Succession War. Nice. He has a huge hand of cards. They're pretty sure they're going to be attacked. That action further weakened their position. Exceptional year. This is probably where I'm going to go, but military traditions. Hey, I would love to have this out, but you can't really afford it on a turn where you're going to be in a war, especially if you don't have many cubes. I'm going to have a total of no more than 4 cubes if I do a reorg of activity. So, you know, this would give me the potential of the veterans, which is really nice to throw extra battle dice in to fights. But I can't afford to throw my army away in that way. If I go to war, I'm not going to have an army. I would have to build my army. I'm not going to get a cube back right away for declaring war. Of course, I'm not going to get a cube back for building my army either. So what do? I think I'm going to go with exceptional year. Gets rid of some of these big cubes there and lets me deal with some of my problems. Notably, and I do have a ruler plus advisor to meet this, I remove one of these unrests. You know, my plan had been to try to work my way up to a subjugation. I just don't see a way to do that easily. Where do I want to remove unrest? Where is it most obnoxious? I think it's pretty fucking obnoxious here in Cyprus. And I get $9. France drops their wad on building up a new army, and they build themselves another ship. Wow. Go in here. I just keep building these light ships, but I'm like, well, I have the cash, why not? That's going to launch a battle here. I'm not throwing my king into the battle. I don't know. I mean, there's probably a little harm to it. I probably have another ruler in hand, don't I? I do. This one's a little better than what I got in hand. And I don't think I need a leader particularly for this. Okay, I got a success. And I've got Janissaries. I don't have Drill. Okay. I'm not used to doing fights at this point, so I'll lose 1 infantry off that. That's fine. And that gets us, this goes away. I'm just going to use one of their missionaries. It's because this can trigger immediately to convert this area to counter-reform. And I may convert another area as well. The other Dutch area, or the Dutch area up there. This is kind of iffy because it's sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 talents worth. These are all small, I believe. Which is an attractive target. Is it the most attractive? I don't know. We have 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Aragon is alphabetically lower, so I'm covered by something. I'm not really thrilled with it going into there either. Up here, let's see, these are, I think, again, all small towns right now. Which 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would make that a very appealing target to the random selection choice. Plus, and here's the real problem, these are open to a second section, which could conceivably attract two different clusters hitting that same area. But I don't know. I just don't know. We kind of have to try and get things under the same religion. And it's possible that religious spread will become less and less likely if it's not controlled by players. That's kind of my hope. I feel like the earlier periods were where religion was more in flux. So we'll see. I really don't know, but we're seeing the revolutionary starting to show up, so that becomes an interesting thing, and we'll see how that develops. You know, it's part of the issue with a game like this is the first playthrough. You're just going to be kind of getting slammed left and right. Your expectations. You don't know what all these random events are going to do to you, right? Or what they can do, even. And that certainly happened with the original. It happens with a lot of these kind of more event-driven games. It happens even with the CDGs. If you think about like something like Twilight Struggle. I mean, Paths of Glory was just hellish for me because, for a number of reasons. But one of the big ones was that there were things that you had to kind of plan for, or else your war doesn't look anything like the real one. Now, you could make arguments this doesn't look like the real Europe, and you know, there are things that I just do not like that are coming out here that I feel like the only solution is to put players in charge of countries like Portugal and probably Denmark. Does their trade action? They get a English Channel one, which is a shame. They were sort of maximized, but they still managed to get $7 off of it. I had to pull a ship out of here to the Channel. That's fine. Yeah, that still works. I don't have to connect these up because I'm not trading with them at this point. I would have had to set things up to do that. The pirate there, yeah, it's making me wish I had gone the route of the naval tradition and starting to move pirates and all that. But I felt my chances were good. I had 2 enhanced trade zones open already, and this brought me a decent amount of money. I only would have gotten 9 otherwise, but this is one that I have a monopoly on, so it's kind of appealing. And trying to get myself enough cash because I have no income, right? I have no income, and some of my cards require me to pay money to do stuff. Oh. Forgot about restore religious unity. State religion is counter-reform, check. There are 4 more Catholic elector areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, check. Maximum 3 towns and elector areas owned by non-Catholic, none. Bohemia is no longer an electorate. So I increased the imperial by 1, or change an HRE area religion to counter reform. I think I'm going to take the imperial points and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as we wrap around. That I want to take care of first. And we've achieved our goal. I hope I had the prerequisites. I believe I do. Huh. There's got to be an Austria somewhere here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There. I gotta make sure that I have all of them, but because that looks too spread out. Oh no, I missed one of the early ones. So now, the reason I thought about that is now my goal is the Holy League. I need to have an alliance with the Papal States, those Protestant Papal States, don't have it yet, and another Catholic realm outside the HRE. And then we go to war. So, I have lost my alliance with the papacy. I have an ally back. I don't have any cards that directly help with that. However, forging an alliance requires 2 cubes in the target's areas. I have that, so we will pay that out first. Now the Papal States is worth 2, 3, 4 tax value, so that's going to cost me 2 diplomacy cubes to form that alliance. Fuck. I'm not going to be able to ally with another player, though. Son of a bitch. I don't have another alliance. Where are my allies now? Put this where it belongs, down on Rome. Where are my other allies? I got one in Venice, and I've got one in Bavaria. See, if I voluntarily remove, like by making an alliance with someone, that costs me, I think, a stability. And I'm not at -3, so that's not optimal. If I could vassalize, if I had a subjugate, I could vassalize Bavaria and add them. But that's not an option right now. Now maybe I can draw it by doing a change of focus or something, but I'm really afraid I'm not going to be able to get the Holy League. I set myself up for it, and I didn't get it. What do I got here? Yeah, I've got the Pragmatic Sanction, which fucks with alliances if I had them, so definitely don't want to screw around with that yet anyway. Things is, there are so many different options available at all times, and I do this kind of, figuring what do I want to do or whatever, and I don't really remember by the time I get back around or back up to the table or whatever. Obviously, that wouldn't be the case as much in an opposed, game where you're playing kind of straight through or whatever. But I think this is what I want to do. So I dropped 4 cubes on the new alliance, $2, and I am going to, because Poland has, oh shit. No. Well, this is a card, so it doesn't cost me in the same way. I can take an alliance off the board in order... Do I have a subjugate kicking around? No. Yeah, I can take an alliance off the board to do this. I don't really like doing that. I have alliances all throughout here. I am going to play it. I'll take Lubeck off. I don't know. Does it make a difference? Probably not. I don't want to lose this one because it's a dual C-zone one. I'll take Lubeck off. So what happens is I replace this with 2 of my cubes, which I now have, and I replace the alliance that Turkey has in Wallachia with my own. I have the ruler out, okay. And I actually get a cube back. That only cost me 3 cubes because I have the spy network still available. Does not like that, and they spend their own diplomacy to do the same thing back. And just swing that alliance right back into their own hands. Now, this reminds the shit for me of Empires of the Middle Ages, and some other games where, you're just you just cancel out what the other guy did. You know? I don't mind that, in part because here it's reliant on the, well, it's not absolutely reliant on the cards, but without that card, it's very hard to take an alliance away from someone. You can form alliances with other places, but that would have required, for me to take that alliance, would have required me putting 3 dip cubes in there to begin with, and then paying for the form alliance, and by that time I might be at war with an active alliance there, or an inactive one, but I don't know. All right, that brings us back over, and got to do things. Another day of denial that the future might extend past the next couple days. I really feel like that's a major factor in my not being willing to go shopping. Anyway, French do a quick siege over there. Get a cube off here, whatever. Spain uses their last cube on development to convert the Netherlands proper to counter-reformed. There's some crazy shit going on over here. You know, I mean, that feels too easy, right? In fact, the Spanish kind of couldn't, they managed to get Flanders, Wallonia area mostly Catholic during the course of the war. But they really had trouble, you know, converting even the areas that they controlled. On the other hand, this would have been a fortress that couldn't really easily be changed. I don't know what the hell this is. This should probably flip over. I'm never sure what to do about that. The conversion, I think, succeeded in making it not a religious problem anymore. Probably not covered in the rules. It probably doesn't matter either way. Also clears the rest of their unrest. Now I've got this desire to conquer Scotland, but I don't have the military card cubes to do it anymore. Which, you know, it's like, yeah, you want the unrest gone, or you want to go pursue your other aims? Your call. I don't know how much I mind that, right? It's hard to tell. You wouldn't generally go to war with a big unrest problem in the original EU. This didn't feel big, but maybe it was, a couple of counters, whatever. The neat thing about the unrest in that system is that, you know, normally you pay $10 a turn to conduct a simple campaign that allows you, you know, to quell all the unrest. And at the same time, that $10 would allow you an invasion of the Scottish territories. There would be more of them, so you'd have to make 4 such attacks. I think there's 4 provinces up there. Much as there is here. It's just the provinces in the old EU were things you moved into. Here it's areas, collections of provinces, whatever. And it kind of actually does fit the same model, which is to say there's one city in each province in the original EU. Anyway, we're moving along pretty quickly. The decisions are easy right now. I don't know why. Much as Austria did not want to have to take this card themselves, nobody else is taking it. It doesn't really give them anything. And I really don't want... Oh no, this is a marriage. I don't care about marriage. All right. Yeah, because what I need to do is I need to form an alliance with the Poles. Now, I need this for my Holy League. It's not going to work, right? We decided that wouldn't work. Because I cannot have... I do have an alliance with the Papal States. And another Catholic realm outside the HRE. Be at war with a Muslim realm. Oh, I don't even have to... It doesn't have to be a player realm. Another Catholic realm outside the HRE. How am I going to get an alliance with anyone though? That was the problem. That was the problem. because my only alliances are, where? Bavaria? See, I thought I had to do a player. I got an alliance with Venice. That'll work. They're outside the HRE. I should have another one, though, somewhere. Alliance with the papacy. An alliance with Venice. There's got to be one more. Oh, the alliance with Bavaria. Yeah. So I actually don't have to be allied with another player, but let's look. Because there was something here. 3 or more alliances and 3 or more marriages at the board with at least 4 different realms, including at least 1 opponent. That's what we wanted. So I've got 3 or more alliances, but I don't have the marriages. Is there anybody tapped out? I thought they were, actually. Poland is not. Turkey obviously isn't going to be. France isn't going to be. Yeah, nobody's tapped out. Yeah, you feel like the Austrians were at one point, but maybe not now. Industrial Revolution isn't on the board. Makes it really hard to get. Our man on the throne, enforce peace using secure desired succession, not interesting. Jewel in the crown, not possible. Yeah. Oh boy. I don't know. And I don't have any royal marriage cards. Marriages are not something you can get off here. You can only get them off cards. I'm just trying to figure out. Trade might be my best move. I'm trying to figure out what the hell to do before I go to war, before I take that final step. Because it may be hard to do things after. Now I'm going to want to keep at least a couple of cubes to play around with and pull over. But we're low on cash. Let's do a dip so that we don't have to, or a trade so that we don't have to take as much cash. Now, the big question is whether or not we want to call allies, because allies will cost us cubes, but that's diplomacy cubes. It's 2 per. Venice would be very interesting, but maybe not. The papacy I probably don't want to call in. Actually, the Bavarians give me 3 extra armies available. The papacy would give me 2, 3, 4 extra armies, I guess. But it's actually 2 in each case because it's halved. Is that worth it, right? You know, are the extra troops worth it? Bavaria is pretty safe because they would be adding. Turkey's not going to take them, take anything from them. Papacy looks really unsafe. Venice, pretty questionable. Does Venice have anything else? I don't think so. I think they lost everything. Got to remember, because Genoa still has this. Got a crappy $2, and maybe I shouldn't be doing that. I did it. It's too late. But I noticed I have unrest here, here, and here. There's a lot of cubes I got to spend. But I can do that after the war. So if we're going to take the risk on this big Holy League here, have an alliance with the Papal States and another Catholic realm outside the HRE. Yeah. Be at war with the Muslim realm and occupy their provinces. And we get all kinds of stuff if that happens. I think we can swing it. I think it is seriously considering military reforms. Yes, it costs you a stability. Ouch. No biggie. I'm not going to get up another level and +2 money. Doesn't matter to me too much. I've got a big realm. for a couple of reasons. One, see, here's the problem. That cost me a military cube. Then it cost me 2 more to do the military innovations, which is what I want from this. I want cannons. I want to be able to siege things on less cubes. I think I end up overall better off because of that. So much as I hate to do this, I'm going to. So that's 1 and 2. And that eats up the rest of my cubes, my reserve cubes, but that's okay. We're going to use some of these very shortly. This was not my plan. I don't think it's a good idea usually to start making changes in a war. Start putting these types of things down as you're trying to do a war because it reduces your cube pool. But it's not that big a cost. The stability is probably the biggest thing. And like I said, I don't think it's that big a deal. He plays a commercial growth to get themselves a bigger city. This is not core. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, let's do this one. That puts me in a nice place. Hey, it's Varna. No, it's Yanya. There's this Revenge for Varna card that the Poles have. And I'm like, whoa, what were they doing down there? That seems a little far. Okay. Turkey made that choice. They're low on cubes, but they're not going to be able to move a lot of their administrative cubes. But they're really, really worried. They have very few military cubes. They have a lot of unrest. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is Poland's fault. Poland did some nastiness to them and can do more. So we're really trying to push. No, it's more than 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to be a problem, right? I mean, the dice are going to cause me issues. The question is, am I better off spending, a couple of cubes on getting rid of some of that unrest? Or do I need to deal with the war? Because the sounds of war are really coming. Anyway, I'm low on tea, and we're back around to France, so we'll take a pause. Okay, so we're in what is my bedroom and used to be my office as well, which is a little weird, but the reason is I've got some notes from Kalismar again here. Yeah, I'm looking at Raid at the same time. That look really interesting. First of all, so this first one has to do with the Explore rules that I had an issue with. And he's saying the Explore rules in 12 says it requires Quest for the New World idea to use ships for exploring. But if you have it, you may use a ship. Roll the exploration die. Okay, and there's nothing specific in here that says there's any way to do it without a ship, which is what confused me. But now he says, it later says any discovery must be adjacent to your realm. Let's keep looking. Or a distant area within an NPR province, yeah. Pay 1. Okay, so you lose a ship on a distant continent, no matter what if you get this. And then here it goes, and this doesn't require a ship. So roll the exploration die, and you can use the result or pay. And the results are discover a territory matching the number rolled or distant area with an NPR province, or a town or vassal. So you can find other people's stuff if you so desire. If you get a death, you pay 1 to discover a territory. Any discovery made must be adjacent to your realm, or if you have QFTNW, one of your ships. So if you have ships elsewhere in the world, they will get destroyed by you exploring overland. But you don't have to have them if you can explore overland, and you can do exploration. It doesn't seem to require armies or anything like that. So this is all very interesting. Now he hits another part of this in the distant sea zones. movement, which is, I'm trying to see where he's got this. It's a long post. Page 26, movement to distant continents. So what he's saying there is it's possible to sail through unexplored distant sea zones. You have to do an exploration action every time. I'm not sure about that. Entering or leaving, fleets and ships may enter or leave, move between distant continents with matching letters. When they move between Far East, you must spend an additional to cross the Pacific. Some areas are connected, and that doesn't tell me. Okay, if you have no towns, claims, or vassals adjacent to a sea zone on a distant continent, you must take an explorer action to enter that sea zone. That's the thing that I greatly disagree with. When an army military unit moves into an area or sea zone on a distant continent, its movement ends immediately. So this means you can't sail through areas. You have to explore each one individually. Now he says, so it should be possible to cross sea zones even if you don't have a claim there. Yeah, but you have to explore each one, and that will probably get you a claim somewhere. If I'm reading this correctly. I don't like it because it doesn't match the concept of there being rudders that sort of permeate the entire world. You know, you don't actually. I actually don't mind that you have to make some kind of check to make it through land that no one is giving you permission to, or to make it through sea areas that no one's giving you permission to. Now the other one is power struggles, and this is an interesting one. This is one that I just got wrong, matter of failed memory, rather than looking something up, which is, oh boy. Claims in battlegrounds. When taking fabricate claims, players need only pay one for each in battleground areas that's listed under the active power struggle. And here I just didn't read this or something, or the upcoming power struggle, which is cool. That allows you, so as soon as it's visible, you can start paying to go into it, even if there's another power struggle active. So that's a couple of cool things. Now, from my point of view, I'm going to I'm going to plug this back in and just and not play right away. But I wanted to catch these two because they're both things where I got something wrong. Now I'm still not thrilled with the idea that, well, that you absolutely need to have at least a claim to be able to sail through an area. But that might indicate the sort of trading posts and such not. I don't know what I'm going to work that out as. But this Spanish ship here did not take an explore action. It took a trade action to get there. And that seems valid to me. Okay. So I'm going to continue with that as it is. But that is in violation of the rules. The other thing having to do with the power struggles, I have no problem with. And the nice thing is, now Russia can explore the area up here without having to have a ship somewhere. You don't need a ship anywhere in order to do exploration. You can do it directly overland. You don't need anything to do it overland. But if you happen to have a ship somewhere, it might sink if you go exploring overland. Which, you know, probably is fine. Because the Turks and the Russians are the most likely to be doing any kind of exploration from the main map directly elsewhere. You might see some into Africa here. That is physically possible. And I'm sorry about the lighting. I just didn't think to put it on. I didn't think I was going to be talking this much. And basically what that means is that you're conducting explorations and stuff, and you're moving supplies and whatnot, and your light ships might suffer some kind of calamity due to it. It still seems like a big cost, given what the light ships probably represent, but it's over a long period of time. There's the Bermuda Triangle and shit like that. It's aliens, man. It's aliens, I'm telling you. I've been finding it hard to come up and play this week. It's happened before in this series. In this case, combination, my normal addiction to raid, fucking around on the computer when I'm not dealing with raid, and that. So the weird thing is, that probably eats up the most time actually. I get hooked into things, I'm chasing things down while I'm playing raid. I find things that I find addictive and fun, whatever, and then I just, don't want to do. But I had been dealing with that combo. The thing that's changed is I've started reading more again. And I went through one book this week that was a little bit of light fantasy fluff. But, something like that eats up your time, and I enjoy it more than anything else in the world is to read, right? To read things that I enjoy. I didn't really enjoy The Islands of Unwisdom that I did a video on. But this other one, while I enjoyed it, I wouldn't recommend it or anything, but I'm keeping it because it was fun enough. And now I'm on to something that's, a little bit more, I don't know, a little less juvenile than the fantasy was. It's a science fiction, and it's got me, excited. I read it more slowly though. I read less. I'm less addicted. Like that really cheap schlock is easy to read. Anyway, well, I forced myself up here, and we'll try to get through a series. I have to wait a couple hours for a raid to be able to do things, unless I'm going to waste resources. Ready to siege another town, and that gets rid of one of these cubes. I'm in trouble though. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas in unrest, and the most I can do is move 2 cubes there. I was trying to look for something else, but I'm like, let's just get this out of the way. He's going to fight a war. They need to do some complicated stuff here. However, I'm not somebody who likes complicated stuff, and I don't have a lot of cubes. So I'm really torn on this, because if 3 countries hit Turkey, I might be able to get Naples. If Spain, Austria, and Poland all hit them at the same time, I might be able to sleaze Naples. But this is about the minimum of cubes. I'd got 2 more coming to me, right? That I can get into play for this to work. Which means that I can't do what I want to do, which is explore. Now, too bad I don't have a naval tradition, right? A card that I probably was undervaluing, or looked at for somebody who didn't really need to do exploring at the time, and undervalued it for everyone because of that. I don't know. But right now, I need to build forces up. One, I'd like to siege this, take it over. Okay. That's going to be a cube, though. So, but the army that I build there could be used in my attack. 2, I need more ships. Yeah, I have a couple of light ships out here that maybe I could call back into play. But if I'm going to get anything like an army, like 6 units or something, I need to get 2 ships here. And 3, I need that striking force, and I'd like to get some infantry in here to protect that artillery. That's kind of awful there. I'm going to build the troops at this point. I'm a little unhappy about it because it means I have to maintain them, right? Even if I don't go to war. Almost my entire cash reserve. A couple of ships here. I don't need a ship in the med there. But I do need... So I can't use one fleet. I need to rely on light ships. Now I can have more than 2 there, and they'll operate more or less the same as a fleet. I can't have an admiral, but whatever. And built a big enough army with a couple of artillery so that I can take all of Naples with 1 cube. 1 cube to land, 1 cube to siege everything. Doesn't look like I'm going to have to fight a battle there, which, for good or ill. And I also threw an extra unit over there, but that cost me like 30. Plus, it was kind of stupid too, because now I'm on this side of the board and I can see, and oh wow, there's things like colonization policy that I could be the first person in. You know, I didn't have any cards to really support it, but I have a whole shitload of cubes, which means I probably want to slip into one of these facets. Since I don't have free trade mercantilism, if you have 3 or more from key provinces, you get more money. I don't know how valuable that is. But the colonization policy, reducing the cost of colonizing, sounds like a really great idea. And now England gets first crack at it because it's sitting near them. You know, the simple fact, turn order doesn't matter. It's what parts of the game are you aware of because you can actually see them. Now, you would think that wouldn't be as big a deal in solo play, and it probably wouldn't if I played more often than I have been this week. But in opposed play, I almost guarantee you that people will be influenced by what part of the game is near them. You know, not just bored, which is often a reasonable thing. And it's like, well, yeah, but you know, you have localized concepts and stuff. You know, localized in the sense that I'm focusing on the area of the board that I'm in, that I'm near, whatever. But you move someone and their focus sort of shifts over and they start operating in a different theater than you'd expect them to, depending on where they're seated. But here it's, hey, do you have easy access to see these all the time? And again, that's why I don't think that these cards, which have to physically occupy a location, you know, are going to be a bit of a problem in actual opposed play. It plays these little tricks on me to prevent me from playing, right? You know, so like, I'll usually wait until I have a new pipe. And I did this time, but I burned through it, I think. I think that's how it went. It's hard to remember. I burned through it on, you know, very little play time. Loaded up another one. That's no big deal. The big deal is my teacup was nearly empty when I came up here. And it seems like something in my subconscious makes me do that. But I'm breaking that, and I've got tea going right now instead of sitting myself in front of the computer or doing something else while I wait for my tea to boil and just leaving this here. Instead, I'm going to regale you with, you know, this. No, but I'm going to get to play a little more. I immediately notice this. These armies are not with the right, or those forces are not with the right army. What do I want to do with the English? I have cleared out that, so I can try another trade operation. I actually don't have enough cubes to do the colonization policy, although I have Industrial Revolution, which I don't know what it does, or Scientific Revolution. As a minor action, you may replace one of the unpicked ideas on the display. This costs you that. Yeah, it doesn't give me a reduced cost to discovering other ideas, which is what I thought it would do. It does with some events and stuff, but I just don't have the cubes to do this. And again, I don't think I have cards. My goal is to take Scotland this turn, I guess. Or this. Can I do this? 4 more provinces adjacent to the southeastern Atlantic. I've got 2 there. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do this turn, but I can start moving towards it. I would really like this as well. Oh, see, there's the tea going. And I still haven't gotten through the play. Things are complicated for England. Damn it. You know, it's like, it makes it harder. If I come up here and I have to suffer on my decisions. So things are complicated. Why? They have an alliance here. I go over to look to the events to see if they want to clear that alliance, if their Captain Jenkins here gives them another alliance. No, it doesn't. But so Anson's expedition is great. England can disband a light ship to take 2 explorer actions and place a claim on any distant area with an opponent's claim or town. All of this is appealing, but I have claims against both Spain and Denmark, not against Portugal. I could get the Portuguese Hudson Bay one. That would actually be of some use, but I may be running low on claims. But avenge this insult. England gains a claim adjacent to the Caribbean and may then use it to declare war and gain a military, and you gain a military. So I'd get 2 militaries. I'd get George the II, who I don't terribly want. William's better. Fuck. And so the whole thing is that going to war with Scotland would hurt me. That was my initial plans, was to try to engineer something so I could do that. The event would allow me to go to war with someone else, but I don't really need to. I can go to war with Denmark no matter what, and that might help. Colonial ambitions, it would be the 3rd of those 4 provinces. I'm close enough that I can colonize. No, looks like that's Mali. I can invade Mali. That would require a declaration of war. And a long sea journey, which is not terrible. But that's a sea. Sea would come from either here. I don't even connect to this. So sea would probably have to come from here or here, which would be painful. I'd have to rearrange my fleets to do that. It's just, God, I just don't fucking want to play. Because it's not easy decisions anymore. It's like, it's feeling like Euro balancing again, right? And, you know, it's not like modern Euros or more modern designs in wargaming have this issue, right? Things like Cataclysm over there, some of the less wargamey type things like Churchill, more of a negotiation game theoretically, but, you know, I mean, the thing is, like, I say negotiation game, I say war game. In a war game, you don't actually fight, right? Like, the players don't fight to show things. In a negotiation game of the sort like Versailles up there, or Churchill or whatever, the players don't actually do a hell of a lot of negotiating. They're actually, like, playing cards to represent the negotiation, which, you know, doesn't feel like a game like this. There's more negotiation and diplomacy going on than there is in a game where, or at least as much, than there is in a game where you're using game mechanisms to trigger that kind of negotiation in and of itself. Probably the cleanest, you know, the games with the freest rules surrounding negotiation have the most negotiation and pleading and whatnot, and they allow, you know, a little bit too much freedom. This is about my sweet spot. Things like Churchill, I feel like, I don't know, the mechanisms are just getting in the way, you know, but they're getting in the way of me here too, because I just can't do what I want to do. I don't understand. This is a problem I had earlier when I, you know, was first playing the game. I don't understand what I'm doing, right? You know, not just I don't understand what I'm doing in terms of I don't get the rules of the game and how to apply them and stuff like that. That's certainly the case. That's often the case, even not in Euros, but I don't understand what the fucking linkage is in some cases, you know? And that falls to the cubes and all this abstract shit that, like, just doesn't gel in my brain and say, this is what I've got, this is the resource I've got. Gold I get, you know, except that it's not used for anything in this game. You build armies with it, You can do some bribery and diplomacy in negotiation, in diplomacy with it, in the influence playing part. Some cards require it, but for the most part, gold is not really money that I can see. It's limited use money. Probably means these fucking cubes aren't actually here if this is in Mali and not on the Gold Coast. Which sucks. Like, I've screwed something up. I just want to fucking quit now. See, the thing is, the only thing that generates these cubes is vacant territories. And if this is indeed on Mali, which I think it is, I don't fucking know. You can't fucking see in this game. You know, the counters are bigger than the spaces. Then I would not have been generating cubes for it, because only vacant territories generate fucking cubes. And oh look, I seem to have left something burning on there. I just don't fucking know what to do. And I feel like I'm just going to make some stupid decision based on that. And that's why I ought to just fucking stop now. But I can't. I haven't made my way around even. But once I make my way around, I'm done for a couple of fucking days, I think, you know? It's like, when I face something like this and start getting this irritated with the game, it gets bad. The question is, what the fuck to do with these cubes? Because I picked this goddamn card for those fucking cubes, right? And for what I had set up. But now they don't work, and maybe they shouldn't even be out. Like, maybe I should pull them away. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know how to fix this situation, much less play the goddamn game. I had to do what I've been doing more recently, which is pursue the trade card, get some more money. Okay, great. I draw in North America, that's fantastic. I get the same amount of territories as Spain does once I link myself up. Is Spain linked up? Spain's not fucking linked up. Spain doesn't get their money. Oh, I wonder if they got money before. Yeah, they don't have their ship network out. Had that happened, since we had the same number of points, I would have gotten the top layer. In this case, that's 7, and the Spanish would have gotten 4. Instead, I just get the 7. But this is why I cleared out the pirates, right? Now I've used up both my merchants, though. So I am done with that, and I don't know what to do about those cubes. I'm going to leave them out there. Maybe I'll forget the problem. Maybe I'll clean it up. You know, honestly, I think, let me get rid of one, because I'm pretty sure one of them at least shouldn't be there. But I'm not positive. I'm not positive about a fucking thing anymore. You know, it's been too long. I'm just fucking sick of this shit. You know, I was enjoying the game, but walking away disrupts it completely, because it's these completely new ideas that make it, you know, hard to approach to begin with, and then they don't fucking gel in my head. The way, you know, I don't know, patterns in more traditional types of designs, including the original EU, they stick in my head. Here, because everything's all jumbled together and you're doing everything at once, it's not like, you know, you have a pattern that focuses you and you're like, I'm doing my economics now. I'm doing my, you know, I'm doing my military action now, which is really the two divisions in that game. One of them, you're doing all of the work, you know, that this game does through diplomacy, economics, all that shit. All of it's happening at once. But it's all happening on a spreadsheet. You're following a single pattern. You're not basing it on, hey, what's my situation? How many fucking little cubes do I have? What cards do I have? What are my resources? How do I understand all this shit, right? You don't have to fucking worry about all that. Just a clean, easy spreadsheet that you can follow sequentially and just do every goddamn fucking turn. And here, and then when it's military, the military actions are simple. Not as simple as in this game, but easier to remember, because you don't have to try to understand, oh, am I in a place, you know, is this a thing that allows a military leader to be drawn for this random enemy for me? No, the military leader's on the fucking board. You can goddamn see him. You know, I mean, it's like everything in here is kind of baked into the rules or the cards, and the rules are not the clearest. They felt like they were working okay, but honestly, some of the discussions that like Kalasmar and I have been having, it's really becoming really goddamn clear that this game is kind of hiding things and not making them very explicit in terms of how the rules are actually applied. You can probably figure out a way. It's better than the old EU. There's no question about that. But the old EU had a very, very easy means of, resolving ambiguities. Does this fucking make sense or not? This game doesn't make sense because it's based on Euro ideas. Build my Austrian army after having determined that, this army here is too far away, even with a forced march if I wanted to pay it. Although, why bother? I could walk down. Right. I don't know. I may end up moving this one down simply because I don't have much money. I did a trade action instead, got myself $4. I got lucky to get $4. Austria is not going to be good at trading. Now, I could have gotten really lucky and hit this one, but there just aren't many places I can go. I don't have any fleets. So, $4 wasn't bad. Starts using its spy network, sowing more discord. Now, I actually could do the last card off this, sabotage reputation, not sabotage reputation, support rebels, which would cause a rebellion roll all over Turkey. That would be very, very powerful. I'm holding that to see how the war goes, but in preparation for the war, and because I have so many dip cubes I don't know what the fuck to do with, I fired those off. I don't have an army yet. Neat. Oh well. If Turkey had fired off an event already, they could just pass and avoid this war. Unfortunately, they've been holding off on the event and playing other things. They feel like as soon as they play an event, they're going to get attacked, right? So, but everybody would have to attack them because no one could join in after the fact. Turkey's going to do just that. They don't like the events that are available. None of them are terribly useful. But I'm going to take Captain Jenkins' ear. Oh, nasty. Drop that here. And we get a military off Avenge this insult. Okay. England gains a claim adjacent to the Caribbean Sea and can use it to declare war and gain a military. Use it on Spain, man. Use it on Spain. Oh, boy. Denmark? Portugal? I don't know. I think we get fucked for the alliance and the marriage if we declare war under these circumstances. Not declare war on an ally. Or on an NPR ally of somebody who can't be declared war on. But we can place a claim on any... Hold on. England gains a claim adjacent to the Caribbean and may use it to declare war and gain a military. You gain a military. Turkey gains a military, which is what they did this for. 2 reasons. 1, we can pass and avoid the war. Of course, we have like chaos going on if we do that. But if we try to mitigate the chaos by using our military cubes, we're less prepared for war. For England, the Caribbean Sea is down here. We could drop a claim. What the fuck does it say? We gotta go over here and read the card. England gains a claim adjacent to the Caribbean and may use it to declare war and gain a military. I am going to drop that. Now, I could just put this somewhere, like in the Mississippi, and then I can't use it to declare war, and I'm fine. I don't have a real army set up right now. I'm not built for war. Can I win a war? I can't win one against Denmark or Portugal or I don't want to. Like, first of all, I can't go to war against Portugal. I'm not allowed to. I don't know if I can void the alliance immediately. But I've also got a marriage, so there would just be all kinds of problems involved in that. I'm at shit stability. But I could go to war with Mexico or Central America, which are both appealing. Or I could just drop something here in Mississippi, and then I'd have some place that I could colonize. Mexico or Central America, how easy would it be for me to get there? Well, I got boats here. I don't have a very big army, but that's okay. I think I'm allowed to transport 3. I only have 2. But I could grab one from here. That's another cube, though, I think. I don't know. I don't fucking know. There's no boats here. I'd have to do all kind of shit to arrange things. I mean... God damn it. This is... I fucking hate dealing with, like... these kind of balance everything out and make sure that you have... just get the guys on the boat, sail them across, check their attrition, land them, fight the battle, you know. It's 15 years, they can make it. Shouldn't... It's all about balancing your cubes and doing your shit. And, oh, I could do Guyana. That might be even better. I don't know. Do I care about any of these? No, I don't give a shit about any of this. Southeastern Atlantic. Where's that? That's... I don't know where that is. That's over in Africa. Yeah, not at all helpful. Okay, so this... I wasn't working towards this anyway. That's a different goal, which I may or may not have gotten. I think I did. I don't think I can successfully fight. I'm going to put this here in Guyana. I don't get a military cube because I wasn't declaring war. Turkey did get one, and now I have one last thing to choose, which is, do I want George II instead of William? Well, I see no real reason, except our plus is more advantageous. I didn't pick the card, so I don't have to choose to take it. There are no pluses there. Put this here. We draw a new card. Nueva planta decrees. Bourbon rules. Castile, Spain may... Okay, so this is the effect of the War of Spanish Succession. It is a card, and you choose who won. Okay. And it has nothing to do with the people who were actually involved. Wow, that really fucking disturbs me. Everything is disturbing me today, though. Castile, Spain may research absolute monarchy for free. I don't know what that does. Is that out? I seem to remember it was, but it may have disappeared. Yeah, I think it disappeared. If so, they add 4 unrest in Naples, Sicily, and Aragon. We don't have any towns in any of those. All we have is like a vassal in Malta. And place 4, yeah, so we would avoid the penalty. We would gain a stability if allied to France and lose 1 if not. I think we're at the bottom of the track down there, so no big loss there. Retain the Habsburgs. Castile, Spain loses 3 prestige and must reject Philip V. Now, Philip V doesn't really look all that exciting, although he does like his horses. I don't really want this card, but maybe I end up choosing it, especially if I have an interregnum happening. However, right now, Cromwell is doing me all the good in the world, and if he lives on, that's great. And I am done probably for today and maybe tomorrow, because I am just absolutely like disheartened by this. So much more fun to just read than to try to figure out how to fucking balance cubes. Right, well, after that tantrum, you know, I just have to muddle through. That's what it comes down to. This is probably not a game I'm ever going to be incredibly comfortable playing. you have to understand that and just deal with that. The problem, of course, is that the particular discomforts are ones that, and places where I'm not able to play it wisely at the very least, if not failing with the rules, just are ones that irk me more than when I run into similar problems where I don't want to figure out all these damn odds or whatever. I just, I'm used to that. Anyway, let's start with the French. We'll try to make our way through. I got some bad news yesterday. It doesn't sound horrible or anything, but it's thrown me into another tailspin. I was already sinking far enough as it was, which is I got jury duty. Doesn't sound like that bad a thing, but I don't even have a timepiece anymore. I don't, and there's no clocks down, in most areas downtown. So I'm gonna have to just sort of guess what the fuck time it is. I guess I could take a phone. I have some extra old phones that I can charge up and use as a clock, but that's a hell of a lot of a piece of equipment to carry around when it's just because my watch died. All right, let's start with the French. I have to kind of familiarize myself with the situation. The first thing I did was check the events because France has one available, and you would think this Bourbon rule would be useful to France, but it really isn't. Castile, Spain gets some bonuses, but possibly some unrest. They kind of want that. Some rebellion if they were affected. And they gain a stability if allied to France and lose one if not. And then the other side is just they get kind of screwed in terms of victory points and don't get the leader, who they don't really want yet. They might take him, but they don't want him yet. But yeah, there's nothing that really advantages France except that the card kind of incentivizes Spain to make an alliance. An alliance or a marriage? An alliance with France. Not even royal ties. The French are probably going to use a couple of cubes to try to reduce their unrest. They have too much for my taste. You don't want any, but they have too much. However, before I do that, hey look, I got enough colonists. I can just grab me one of these, and there's one of them. Oh wait, one of these is a conquest for Benin. So I can grab me Angola, which seems like a good enough thing. Spain sieges their town. Now that gives them an extra unrest, which is of course problematic. And then the boat sails over to England, where I seem to remember that's what caused me to melt down. I did the colonization with the French. I bet you I cheated with them too. In terms of counting this as a colonial claim and creating colonists, the problem with this is, and I already partially rectified this with the English. I'm giving them their cube back. I'm having enough trouble colonizing. Fuck it. I'm going to make it easier. I'm going to make those things count. The problem is that when I'm looking on the board at the end of the turn, I'm not really able to look up all the rules, right? I've got the booklet open to a specific set of, to a specific set of pages, and maybe I'm over here, and I'm doing this calculation thing where I count up the number of money that I'm getting, the troops that I'm getting, the cubes that I'm getting. I'm doing all these very mechanical actions that should be normal, that should be very simple to do. And the hard part here is I look over on the board and I just count those little fuckers, right? I just fucking count them. which means I'm going to leave this as it stands. Now, I'm not going to allow myself to colonize here using those cubes, but I gave that cube back because I've cheated for France as well, I'm pretty damn sure, and I may have cheated for other people too. And again, it's just been so hard to colonize, fuck it, I'm going to make it a little easier. England's got tough choices, which I went over. They can't form Great Britain because going to war. Well, let's see what the cost of going to war with an ally is. I bet it's a stability because of the Spanish card that says that. Now I have to find that. No, you just can't do it. Okay, but you can break an alliance as a free action. So it's not here. Oh, wait, cut ties. Cut ties is a free action. But I may not be able to do it because it may be a cost rather than a penalty. See? So let's see how that's worded. But this is the kind of thing that I have to do. I have to look shit up to find out that, yeah, that didn't count. That didn't. And the one place I really don't want that to happen is where I'm just doing, I mean, I don't want it to be happening anywhere. And the game has so much of these little rules that just aren't, sinking in. And again, because of the fucking cubes. But let's not go there. Let's just not go there. Minor action. Okay. It's not there. Is it down here? Yeah. This also is painful to me. Now, I don't mind overlaps, but somehow all the color, all the symbols and everything in the rules, and the fact that I've gotten used to page breaks kind of being the end of a rule. Return any number of dupes or boops from the board to your supply, and end any number of alliances. If you end any alliances, suffer the penalties, and go chase. This is like a choose your own adventure to find the rules in this thing. You lose 5 cubes from that ally and put a truce in their capital. That might not be so bad. Ally at war or active ally, you lose all kind of stability and stuff, but actually it's lose, not pay. So I actually could do this. It might be a more valuable choice. I've been looking at other things. Have I taken my event? I haven't. Oh, fuck. I think there was something that was interesting to me. Maybe not. Did somebody already play it? Yeah, the Captain Jenkins here. Somebody already played it. There's no event that I particularly want to play. So I think and I think and I think. See, I have so many things I can and want to do. And because they're going to happen in succession and I'm not getting to do a turn and figure out everything at once and just do it. And I can see advantages to that. I can see why people like this more kind of interactive play. It certainly applies with the CDGs. It applies with some of the old Victory games. However, it does make it harder to work out your turn, because you've got to work it out all in advance. And then every time you fucking get back to it, you either have to have remembered everything you did or work it out again, all over again. Now, I can't think, other than Euro-style games and these other more interactive war game type things that have happened, I can't think of much that does this, Normally, you make a broad plan, right? I need to collect money. Yeah. And sort of broad goals can get you towards where you want to go. So if I went to war here, well, was there, and then there's all this shit, right? Have 3 alliances and 3 marriages on the board. I don't think I have that. Have researched industrial revolution. I don't think that's what I've got. I've got scientific revolution. So this is just not available unless something happens. desired succession, jewel in the crown, none of those are easy. So one thing I'd like to do is push my exploration further. And in order to do that and play with pirates, naval tradition would help. However, it doesn't really get me where I want to go because my ships, I have to, I'm too far away is basically the problem. So I could sail, I can actually sail through here to here and do an exploration here, and then come through and do an exploration there. That might work. It's not exactly what I want to do. This requires another cube to make that transition, so I can't go around the cape without causing myself problems. And this is interesting to me. But, okay, so let's figure out the war. If I go to war, it doesn't cost me anything too exciting, but it'll cost me a cube. I don't have much of an army. I'd have to build an army. That's a that can come off this cube. But I would need to siege. I need cannons. I have cannons. I need money. That's not so hot. So to do this on the least cubes will cost me four sieges, which would be 2 cubes over 2 different turns. So I declare war and build my army. I move in. I fight a battle. I get a cube. I need at least 1 more cube to succeed. So I'm going to need to transfer a couple of cubes. Is there anything I need to do first? I have used both my merchants already. Some of these other things might be appealing, however. I kind of want to keep a king in hand, just in case something terrible happens all at once, but William looks pretty healthy. And the same age as George II, as far as I can tell. So yeah, well, I can't afford this because maybe I can't afford the money. So let's build ourselves our army. Build the army without declaring war, because declaration of war can give us the movement in. So that might be the most clever thing to do. Already had a decent, we already had an artillery in here, so I only had to build 1. But I have just like run all my money out. I'll put a Royal General down just to remind me. Otherwise I might not do it. Move this here and go downstairs and fiddle with rate a little bit. But I'm coming up here regularly. I'm going to go around this once more and then load it up because all that ranting and everything caused problems. Plus, you know, 2 people have already fired off events. The turn may be close to over, you know? And the latter part of the turn takes me less time because I start to get comfortable with what I'm doing. Okay, I paid a cube to declare war. They built units, getting themselves no artillery, but I can build a cav to get extra chances to hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my own units. Now I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 locations next to me. But here we come to the problem. These 2 black units, that's Bavaria. I'm calling them into the war. I may call someone else in too, but this someone else would probably not be Rome. It would probably be Venice. But now I can't find the, hey, how do you deal with these things? If I looked over at recruiting units, it sent me over here for allied units. Allied units says, turns it into PRs, will add a number of black units to available. These units are referred to as allied. Now this is why I thought you had to pay for them, right? And must be deployed in any of the PR's armies using the recruit armies action. I was looking in the recruit armies and it didn't, I didn't see anything that indicated that they were free. So now I'm like, oh, here we are. Right there. Okay. Allied units in your manpower reserve may be recruited for free as infantry or optionally as cav for 3 each. I'm not going to pay the extra for cav. I'd rather pay for my own cav. They may be recruited in your own areas within your MC limits. Alternatively, you may instead recruit a number of allied units in areas belonging to your active allies up to their MC. So this is an issue. I can't add more units than I'm pulling in. Except I get these vassals that I didn't count here. So that is 3 additional that I could build. So I could bring Venice into this. Now, bringing somebody in, I forgot, what's the cost of doing that? I think it's a diplomatic cube. I definitely want Bavaria. I didn't feel comfortable with the size of my army. But somewhere in Declaration of War, it talks about CT call to arms. And it's going to tell me what I pay. I don't remember what I pay. Again, you know, this isn't something I haven't done before, but remove all your cubes in the target area. Target realms areas. Do I have any white cubes in Turkey? No. Okay, so I don't know. Page 13 is the call to arms action. This will probably bip me somewhere else, right? This is going to be a minor. Cost me 2 cubes. What kind of cubes? You must discard. Ah, fuck. Okay, I can't. Screw me. Okay, well, I don't have cubes in here. I have no influence over them. I thought that I could just call my allies. I can't. I have to expend influence. I can't expend diplomacy. Now, I could have done a diplomacy action instead, get my money back, and allow me to do that. Is that worth it? It probably is. So now I'm going to reverse this and do a diplomacy action on... Now, fuck it. I'm just declaring war. Okay, so Austria declared war on Turkey. Now, I don't have cubes in Venice either. Well, actually, I do. Do I want to give those up, though? They're important to me, right? Pulling Venice into the war for... It would be a decent amount of troops, more than Bavaria had. And I am allied. I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Of course, I could lose areas of Venice. 6. I could get 3 armies by getting rid of these cubes. Yeah, let's do it. I'm just not happy with the size of my army. And so, as we paw through the funny shaped things and put them here. Now, of course, I may have too big an army now, you know. Not too big to use, but just I may be wasting something. But waste not, want not. I don't get another chance to pull them into the war. So I did unflip that. I will flip this over. Venice is now in the war. Turkey has no allies as far as I know. Wait, we do have an ally. We can call them in for free. We'll do that. And that gives, because Turkey has enough troops, but they don't have many cubes. I don't know. So they get one of these in their available section, and that's their only ally. That'll be Austria's action. Now it's Poland's turn to see, hey, you gonna stick with your agreement to go to war? And Spain's being really wishy-washy about it, right? Spain's like, yeah, I'd love to, but my cubes, man, my cubes. I'll show you how little trust I have in this system, in this rule set and whatnot, and my ability to remember it. I had to go look up under Declaration of War. I'm not following the whole sequence because, you know, hey, I think I can remember it enough. That's probably stupid. I'm probably missing something. But I had to read through the entire, I had to look at it in order to see, hey, wait a minute, does this expend a claim? Because most things in this game spend something. It wouldn't make sense, but I don't trust it because I know that this is, you know, a game in which things get spent, right, for almost every action. Turns out it's not the case. I don't have to expend the claim. I would have gotten that wrong all game. At least I couldn't find anything that says it, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was there. Poland's plan was to learn about cannons. This is going to limit how much they can do, but they get their thing over here. Just because sieging without cannons sucks, and if I'm going to start going military more, I need to. And I get 2 victory points for that. Nobody else does because enough people have it. And I get the special effect, which is an artillery in one of my armies. In an army. Shit. In an existing army. Fuck. Okay, we can't do this. Because all of our armies are in stupid places. So we reverse this action as well. We take our 2 cubes back. We take our 2 cubes back. We don't have to declare war yet. We take this back and we give them back their 2. We have to undo things because, again, a little difference in how the rules are interpreted. I can't build an army and do that. So instead, I'm going to spend a cube and build my army. Do I want to declare war and do the innovation during the war? Can't do that. Fuck. No, I can't build my army. Son of a bitch. I have money. I'm going to live with this. I'm going to do what I just said I did. So we undo this. And what is it, 2? Is it always 2? Okay, now we get a cannon in one of our existing armies. See, which army exists where? I don't particularly want it here. That's just a cav army. But now I need to either, if I want to take advantage of any of these troops, I'd have to move them. These guys are too far away. I'm not allied with Austria, so I can't even take some kind of shortcut or whatever. They're too far away, so I am going to build an absolutely new army. I'm going to transfer my king there, or do I have a rule? I don't have a leader. So Jan III is going to transfer there. That could end up losing me my crown. Doing the innovative tactics was my action for the turn. That puts things over on the Turks. The thing here is, this was not a no-brainer, because if Austria was the only person attacking Turkey, it would make absolute sense, no matter what. Even if it's Austria and Spain. But Poland can actually take this thing out, can conquer it. Now, they can't do it in the course of a turn, like during the action phase. Again, I view that as kind of problematic. 15 years and the country's not surrendering, you know. But I'm trying to remember, I think even the old EU has sort of an immediate surrender on total conquest role. There are ways to get somebody out of the war using diplomacy and whatnot. If a war lasts more than one turn, that's highly unlikely. Let's try to figure out what the Turks are going to manage here. Most obviously, they need an army. And building up out of this one is probably our best move. We can build a fairly large army there, and it's within striking distance of the Austrian army. But we're in trouble. Big build armies action. I gotta look at my forced march card. I don't have to play this as a leader right now. I don't have to have a leader. Ooh, I need to buy more cav. So I'm gonna use that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm so rich, it doesn't matter. I'm so rich, who cares? I don't need a leader in play to put this down. Then I can put a leader down as and immediate action. So I have some flexibility with this. This is a leader who gives me 3 dice. He cost me 2 military cubes. I don't think I want to play it for that. The card only cost me 1 for the forced march. So chances are high Mehmed will be commanding the army. However, if I just need to win 1 battle, that's the card to use. And I can do a reorg, get 1 more cube into play. That would allow me a little bit of activity. But with no cubes, I'm going to have a lot of trouble dealing with anything. There's no interception normally in this game. This is one of the few ways that you can intercept enemy forces. All right, that brings us around. I'm going to load this up, like I said, and come back, I guess, with kind of the, hey, how are things going right now video.